Hello and welcome back to One Trick Mind with me, Raptor.
And me, Michael.
And today we're going to be discussing the next episode of Starfleet Academy. And this one I think might be spicy because I suspect me and Michael have quite a lot to say about it. So, yeah, where would we like to start with this?
I'll start with my general opinion of the episode, which was I did not like it. I think it is the weakest of the three that we've watched, but I weirdly liked, not necessarily the ending, but I liked the messaging. I just don't think what actually happened in the episode really backs up said messaging, so...
Yeah, I'll be honest, I fucking hated this episode. I thought it was atrocious. I thought it was atrocious from the position of a teacher. I thought it was atrocious from the position of someone who has spent most of his child being bullied. I think the message in it, while a decent message to try to get across, the episode completely missed how to actually get that message across. This episode, I would go as far as to say, is everything I didn't want Starfleet Academy to be.
I would actually agree with that. This episode had by far the most teenage drama and angst in it. And it was just really frustrating to see. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to have a prank war kind of episode, but I do feel like it was done poorly here.
I mean, let's just start with that. So let's just generally sum up what happened. The War College decides to play a prank on Starfleet Academy cadets using the transporter system. I don't classify, though, what they did as a prank. The transporter is an incredibly dangerous piece of technology. We've seen it kill before. We've seen it create hybrids from two people and a flower before. We've seen it duplicate people before. It's not the sort of technology you fuck around with. And yet here in this case, students are able to hack into the system, which is bad enough to begin with, but then uses it to, I would argue, assault students of Starfleet Academy, teleporting them into dangerous situations. Like one student literally falls down a flight of stairs, which could have caused serious injury, transports two students into water, which is a drowning risk as far as I'm concerned, and then to make it seem like a joke, they transplant a naked Caleb into the middle of a classroom because it's so funny to have a naked male be transported into the middle of a social space. If that had been a naked female cadet, the sort of kickback would be very different, I feel.
I disagree. I think it's the same for both cases. I just think it's
atrocious. It's not a prank.
Yeah, it's quite cruel to do that to anybody.
And they get away with it. There's no repercussions at all.
You see, that was my big issue with it. The quote-unquote prank itself, I could see young adults doing something like that to other young adults in a college setting, but the fact that they openly on comms tell everyone, yeah, we did this, and there's not a single teacher that says, okay, well, you're expelled then, is really, really weird to me, which I guess is a good segue into the other part of this episode that I really didn't like, was this complacency from both the chancellors. Both of them are accomplices in this little prank war, and I'm like, that is really, really unprofessional. And
as a teacher, that is completely unprofessional. They are in positions of authority over students. I can tell you just from everything I had to go through, the sort of safeguarding you have to go through when you're in a classroom with kids, where everything you say and everything you do can legitimately be held to account as harm to a student. The idea that two apparent professionals would allow this to happen without any consequences.
Well, help them as well.
And help them.
The War College Chancellor straight up said that he assisted with it because he wants to teach them all a lesson. And I was like, excuse me? Like,
that is
you should be fired.
Yeah, that is grounds for dismissal on safeguarding alone. I get the impression that the episode is trying to make this out to all be a big joke, and it isn't. The adults in the room ought to be acting as professionals in regards to this situation. I was so glad that at the beginning of the episode, Thok actually is kind of annoyed at the fact that nothing's being done, because she was the only person at the start that acted in defense of her students, which is exactly what I would have been doing.
But even then, she was more arguing that they should strike back with their own prank, basically. And I was like, no.
No, like, they just need to be expelled and the Chancellor held to account, which is the professional, proper way of going around things, and not what this episode states as, oh, be patient and empathetic until you can do your own just as terrible prank in response with giant killer fungi plant thing.
I mean, it wasn't killer plants, but
I mean,
yeah.
It had a student wrapped round itself, pressed up against a wall. That's probably not gonna not hurt.
I mean, I don't know. I had a lot of issues with this episode. One thing that I don't necessarily have an issue with, that I suspect you do, is that there is a tension between the War College and the regular Starfleet Academy cadets. I personally think that makes a lot of sense.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. My problem is the way that it's... Yeah, my problem is the way this is being presented. These are supposed to be people who are training in a professional environment for a highly professional job, you know? And it's being treated like... This is what I said last week about this. I don't know, what are they trying to go for here? Is this a high school or is this Starfleet Academy? Because Starfleet Academy should be a professional establishment for educating people in a highly dangerous, difficult line of work where you are expected to behave in a certain way.
Yeah,
this is not
agree.
What's being presented. What's being presented is a bunch of 15-year-olds hyped up on hormones half the time. And here, I mean, it's even gone to the adults in the room now, also acting in exactly the same way. So, yeah, this episode actually baffled me about just how awful it was in them. And also, I'm sorry, you're going to have a sport where you expose students to what is essentially holographic combat scenario I took real big offense to the gamification of combat being shown here.
Oh, see, I didn't. That was one of my highlights of the episode, actually. For one, we both have stated in a previous video that we want to see more, like, sort of pop culture in the future. Like, what do games in the future look like? And I actually really appreciated that for once we did get like an actual game on display here. Like, what is this, new game to play? And I think, again, it works as a sort of pseudo training situation. Like, here we're going to not only be playing a sport, it's quote unquote for fun, but it also is going to train you how to work as a team. It's going to train you how to function under high stress situations in a combat scenario. I really liked that aspect of the episode.
I think it has merit, but I question sending first year cadets who have been at the academy for a few months at this point
Probably
into
less.
A situation which is meant to mirror real life combat, where it's clear some cadets were scared. Like, that is legitimately the sort of thing which you could give students PTSD over, or at least serious mental harm over.
I mean, I disagree, because you can't be harmed in this scenario. Like, they're all you are is teleported into the penalty box.
Yeah, I just don't think it's appropriate to put first year cadets in something that's supposed to mirror a real world combat scenario. Further down the track, after, other training, probably necessary, but a few weeks into term for first year students who likely have never been in a combat situation before. I just don't think that's a very acceptable teaching method again. As for the gamification,
I mean, to be fair, it's an elective. No one has to do it. It is
True.
a volunteer basis. Like, hey, if you want to join this game, you can sign up for it. And if you don't, then you don't have to. It's not like it's part of their PE class.
True, it is an elective. I just had a problem with how that was presented. Yeah, and then we have this. There's just so much high school drama nonsense in this episode.
Yeah, there really is.
The whole sneaking around late at night to have your own private shoot them up contest in the academy between the two groups.
I mean,
which
again,
I feel that
I
whole
didn't
section
mind
went on
too much. I do think that section went on for a little long, but I didn't mind that so much. I felt like, again, I kind of like the fact that there's tension between the military college and the exploratory college, and I feel like had they isolated that to just like, oh, we don't really like each other, let's after hours do this game and see who's best, I think that would have been fine and would have worked for me. The prank war did not work for me, but them going at each other in a game sport setting, I think would have been fine, and it would have isolated it to a point where it's like, okay, we're not overloading you with high school drama, we just have this bit here with this game because there is tension between these two sides, and I think that would have worked just fine. But again, the entire episode is about them like trying to one up each other, and it just gets tiresome, I feel. But them going after hours to have this game, I didn't really have a problem with. I thought it was fine, and I appreciated that they all got in trouble for it, like actually were reprimanded, which to me,
the
I thought
Starfleet
was
crew were.
well, yeah. To me is kind of crazy that is what gets them in trouble and not the pranks. I'm like, are you serious? Because again, both are like punishable offenses, but
One is obviously worse.
yeah, I'm like, one is like expulsion level offense, and they don't get in trouble for that at all. But for the illegal sports game that they play, they do get in trouble. I just thought that was weird.
Obviously, the episode is supposed to be trying to be about Darum, primarily.
Which I think they did an okay job with. I feel like it's a little predictable, like
I was
the
about
bully.
to say, it's a bit cliche, isn't it? The bully character
Yeah.
has a difficult home life, and therefore we must feel
Yeah.
sorry for him.
I was like, again, it's reasonable for him to act the way he does, given the fact that his parents are so type A and expect him to be perfect at everything. I wrote a D&D character just like this, so it's not like it's unheard of or it's like bad writing. It is just kind of cliche where you're like, okay, well, that's I guess to be expected. So I don't have an issue with it. I just feel like it's not really something to be commended either.
It's uninspired.
Yeah, it's just your standard bully character has a rough home life and therefore kind of takes it out on other people. But I will say I do like that he's not quite your box standard bully. He's not like the odd man out of the group where he's just constantly picking on people. He's still very much like a part of the friend group. He's just the part of the friend group that everyone's like, oh my gosh, dude, can you calm down? It could be more stereotypical than it is, but it's not fantastic. I will say this episode, it didn't get me to come around to Caleb's character, but I did like him more in this episode. He was less insufferable, I feel like, and I like that little bit with Tarima where she's like, I can tell you're like holding back and pushing people away because you finally feel like you're part of a group and you're worried they're going to let you down. Which I think is reasonable in his case, the way his character has been written.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, you had him being sulky puss because she didn't tell him she was going to join the war college, and he got aggravated at someone he has barely known for 5 minutes not telling him something, which just struck me as also kind of dickish behavior, mate. Like,
fair is fair. She did the same thing to him, where she's like, you didn't tell me about your mother, and he made a pretty reasonable rebuttal of like, I knew you for 5 minutes. Like, they're both doing it to each other, of this whole like, we've been through so much together. I'm like, you guys just met.
Yeah, I literally was like, what nonsense, what have you been through together? A particularly difficult round of negotiations with the Betazoid version of Donald Trump. I mean, for heaven's sake.
You both like saw a whale together. Congrats. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you guys just met. You need to calm down. Again,
is this what high school like drama TV is?
Kind of, yeah.
Complete stereotypes and nonsense like that.
I'll put on some Degrassi for you one time. I'll watch you cringe.
Only if I'm allowed to drink all the way through it.
Of course you are.
I get that the point of the episode was to try to get across that Starfleet officers are supposed to deal with various situations with patience, understanding, empathy for the other people involved, etc., etc. All the good Starfleet morality stuff that we would come to expect. Unfortunately, I also think that Starfleet officers are expected when, I don't know, someone hacks the transporter system to cause you physical injury. Starfleet officers are also expected to do something about it in order to ensure that doesn't happen again and that people are held accountable for their actions.
That doesn't involve putting a bunch of plants in their room in order to get them back. Like,
yeah.
For me, that's where maybe I just don't get it. Well, no, I don't get it. Like, where she's just like, oh, patience and empathy is the way forward, and like that's how you one up your enemy, is by realizing they're not really your enemy. You need to, think outside the box. And I'm just like, how does that relate to putting a bunch of plants in their room and pranking them back? I just don't get it. And
having a private little prank war with the head of the war college trying to one-up him.
On one hand, I do get, like, don't let them just push you around. I'm like, true. Don't let people just push you around. I completely agree with that. You can't just let people walk all over you. But I just don't see how their prank was any better, really. Like, how it proved that they were the better people in the situation. No. It just seemed like, okay, we just got you back. Haha.
I don't feel like it, waiting to prank them back at the opportune moment just before an inspection, which also bugs the heck out of me. This whole thing is being done in the imminence of an inspection that's about to be held at both, or in regards to both of these sides of the academy. Surely it looks bad for either part of the academy.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
In the middle of the aftermath of a stupid prank. And I love the fact that we don't even see the inspection. We don't even see the plants being handled. We don't get any of the aftermath. It's just assumed by Ake laughing her ass off about it, essentially, that she won. And I'm like, that's completely irrelevant to the situation. Like, fundamentally, after the first prank was done and dusted, you, as Chancellor of Starfleet Academy, should have had the professionalism to go and handle the situation there and then. And if she had handled the situation there and then, and the people been expelled and consequences put in place, the situation wouldn't have escalated almost to the point where the adults lose control of the students.
Yeah.
Awful episode. Like, I'm trying to be open-minded about this show as much as I can be, but this was bad.
Again, you all know that I am, in particular, the more optimistic of the two of us, and the more, like, accepting of new things in Star Trek.
You can
I've
see
always
positives where I don't. expect.
Yeah, like
That's how I expect.
I've always liked Discovery a little bit more than you. I've always liked even Picard a little bit more than you. To be clear, I don't really like Picard. I think that show is pretty fucking bad. But again, I like to find the positives in things. I kind of hate the overwhelming negativity that surrounds the world right now, especially online for media that I really like, or at least want to like. But I really can't defend this episode. I just didn't like it. I thought it was not good. Again, there are little tidbits here or there that I'm like, oh, that was like, okay, I like that. Like the bit with Reno and Thok being in a relationship, I did enjoy that. And Thok's shenanigan joke had me literally crying because it was so stupid.
Shenanigan. It was such a terrible joke. But
I loved that so much. That was so funny to me. I love a good bad joke. So like, even though there were little like bits here or there that I was like, oh, that's good, I like that. Overall, I think this episode was quite bad, and it's disappointing because I feel like the first two episodes had me somewhat hopeful that the show wouldn't go down this route, and then immediately following those two episodes, it goes down that route. So I can only hope that the remaining episodes break that mold by a lot, because I did not enjoy episode 3. So I mean, fingers crossed the next episode is better, because it's as you said too, there's only 10 episodes in a season now, so when one episode is bad, it really does stand out a lot more than in a season of like 24 episodes. Although, to be fair, most seasons or shows that had 24 episode seasons, usually like half of the episodes in that season were pretty bad, and then the other half were pretty good. So I don't think it's like unfair to have a handful of episodes in a 10 episode season to be not the greatest. But yeah, when you do have these shorter seasons, a bad episode does stand out a bit more. So I'm hoping that this is the worst of the entire season, and every other episode is better, but the only one way to find that out is to keep watching.
Yes. Well, let us know if you are watching Academy, which I suspect quite a lot of people aren't. But if you are watching Academy and you did see this episode, let us know down in the comments what you think. Try to be civil to one another in the comment sections. Anything uncivil to us or other people will just get deleted. And yeah, if you liked listening to us talk about this episode, please consider subscribing to help grow the channel, and we'll see you next time for hopefully a better episode, fingers crossed. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.